Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today. We're talking about one of the most awkward, misunderstood, but necessary conversations in your entire career. That's right, it's about asking for more money. Not because you're greedy, but because you have grown. If we haven't met before, my name's Trinity James. I'm a career coach. I'm also a former executive assistant. And these days, I spend my time helping talented professionals articulate their value and build careers that actually fit their lives and help them follow their dreams. I've worked with hundreds of EAs, project managers, business support professionals, and before that, I was exactly where many of you are right now, which is juggling the demands of a high pressure role, trying to grow without burning out. So, this topic, building the case for a salary increase, it isn't just theory for me. It's something that I've lived, I've coached through, and I have watched completely transform people's confidence and also their careers. So, what we're looking at here today, I want to show you exactly how you can approach that conversation with strategy, clarity, and zero apology. We're going to have a 7-step framework that I'm going to walk you through right now. And there's also a download that you can grab at the end that's got all of the prompts and some further tips and some templates that I personally use and recommend. So, this is all about learning how to make your value visible and how to advocate for yourself in a way that feels professional, confident, and most importantly, fair. All right, let's take a look. So, why this conversation feels so hard? I know that so many of us, we've been taught to shrink when it's time to expand, to be polite, make ourselves smaller so that we don't seem ungrateful, difficult, demanding. But the truth is, playing small does have a cost, and it's not just financial. It chips away at your professional confidence. It trains people to believe that your capacity is endless and your boundaries are optional and your gratitude is just limitless. And look, every time that you hold back from advocating for yourself, what you're actually doing is reinforcing the idea that your value should speak for itself. But that's the trap. Silence has never been a great negotiator. And what I want you to understand at the outset here is that confidence does not show up first, it shows up after you do. So it's after you take that risk, speak up, and realize that, hey, I didn't break. That's when you grow. So today I'm going to walk you through that 7-step framework that helps you prepare, present, and follow up like a pro without ever shrinking yourself again. So let's start with a bit of a mindset reset. You're not asking for a favor in this conversation. What you're doing is presenting evidence. This is a business case. You're not begging for a raise. You are demonstrating return on investment, ROI. Your role directly affects revenue, it affects time, it affects people's reputations, and it ultimately is responsible for the leadership team's success. So, when you sit down and you want to talk things like salary, you need to think like your executive. They invest in outcomes, not effort. You're not selling hours, you are selling impact. And that's the mindset shift I want to get us started with. So, what do we do to prepare here? We gather evidence. That's step one in our framework. So, we need two types of proof in this stage. We need quantitative and we need the qualitative. So, quantitative, this is the measurable stuff. So, we're talking about time saved, cost reduced, efficiency gained. Have you done anything that has influenced the revenue? Bottom line is everything. And then we've got to look at the qualitative side, and this is the human impact. So, this is where we can gather some feedback from leadership. How have you impacted stakeholder trust? What cultural contribution has been part of your role here? And how have you taken the initiative? So, together, these two items, when you build them together, it makes your case absolutely irrefutable. So, for example, instead of saying that, I've managed the calendar really well, you need to say something more along the lines of, I created a scheduling system that reduced meeting overlap by 40%. If you've got a number in there, great. If you don't, that's all right too. But you've got the proof that you've created this thing, the scheduling system. And you can then also further qualify that by saying that you've freed up hours every single week for the exec team through that scheduling system that you put in place. See, it's the same job, totally different impact, and that is how you shift from doing the work to proving the value. Let's look at the next item here, which is step 2, and this is framing the timing. So, the biggest mistake that I see people making around these conversations is springing the conversation at the wrong moment. Never raise this topic for the first time by surprise in your performance review. That is one of the biggest things that I see people going wrong with. It's too late by that point. You need to give your exec time to prepare, plant the seed early. I'm talking 4 to 6 weeks out from your performance review. So just float it softly so it starts to, develop in their mind. So you might say something like, I'd like to review my role's scope and impact before my annual review. That small phrase, it signals strategy and avoids that kind of bear trap surprise. It gives your exec the time that they need to gather context, think about budget. So the timing here, it's not just about luck, it's about emotional intelligence, preparation, and opportunity. Next up, let's have a look at step 3, which is aligning with organizational priorities. So, what we need to do is make sure that your achievements with aligning with what matters most to your organization as a whole. So, if your exec is really focused on profitability, you need to be talking about efficiency and cost saving. But if they're really focused at the moment on culture, you can highlight how your team contributions or stakeholder relationships are really building trust. So you're showing them that investing in you is aligned with their goals and the organizational goals. So it changes the conversation from being me versus the business, what more can I get out of these guys? And then it changes the conversation to it's me for the business. You're showing that you're in alignment with their goals. Next up, we want to make sure that we are articulating the ask. This is step 4. This is the moment of truth, the scary one. You're actually going to have to say things here. So, the first thing I want you to remember is don't apologize and don't over explain. So, kicking things off with something like, given the expanded scope of my role and the measurable outcomes that I've delivered, I'd like to have a chat about aligning my compensation accordingly. Like just having a nice soft opening there and opening it up for a two-way conversation. In the download that you'll have at the end of this presentation, I've got some really good word-for-word examples that I use personally and my clients have used as well. So you'll have a little bit of a bank of scripts that you can really help get the conversation flowing with. But the main thing to remember at this point is that we want to be clear, we want to be calm, and we want to be commercially focused, because remember, it's all about the bottom line. If you sound like you believe that this is reasonable, your exec is far more likely to come to the table, believe it too, and open up a really positive two-way conversation. Next up, and you knew this was coming, pushback. So this is step 5 and how we can prepare for that pushback. If your boss says no, don't crumble. A no at this stage is not the end of the conversation. It's an invitation to clarify expectations. So you can ask, what would make this a yes in the future? And this is where you can get really helpful, specific outcomes. So you can start talking about some metrics and timelines, because a no now means a yes later. So you can follow up this pushback after you've got those specific metrics, outcomes, timelines from your boss. You can follow up with a short summary email and say, thanks so much for the discussion and those insights. As agreed, I'll revisit this in 3 months after delivering on X and Y. That is how professionals turn no into a not yet. All right, let's have a quick touch on the salary reports. So EA How To have delivered an amazingly detailed salary report for the last few years, and the most recent one has just come out. Now, remember how to use this in a really emotionally intelligent way when you are having your review conversations. The salary report is a reference, it is not a weapon. So don't go in saying the average EA earns 95K, so I should too. Instead, you can use this tool and say, look, according to the report, EAs in this salary range are delivering strategic outcomes similar to mine, and here's how that aligns. So, look, that data, use it, but use it to frame context, not as ammunition. You're building a conversation with these tools. It's not a case for court. This is something that, should be a positive give and take feedback, and the data should just be supporting that. Next up, step 6. This is where we need to make sure that we are tracking and quantifying our progress. So this is how we make sure that your impact is visible all year round. And I've got a template for this in the download that you can use if you're not using something already. It's really important to keep, a bit of an impact tracker. So it's just a one-line log of some of your best achievements, any feedback that you got, and any metrics that you've had a visible impact on. Because if you don't document your wins throughout the year, no one else will, and you will get to your review time and you'll have forgotten half of them because you've been so busy taking care of everybody else. So when it's time for your review, if you've been keeping an update in this little tracker, your business case is pretty much already written. And it's not just about salary. That record, it builds your professional story, your confidence, your credibility. You can use this on your LinkedIn. You can use this in your resume. Like, these wins are so important to track. When something good happens, make sure that you're jotting it down and quantify it with, was there feedback? Was there a metric that you impacted? Have that log. Okay, now this part is a lot of fun, and this is how we can use AI to help us prepare for the conversation about your salary. So you've got a bit of an idea about what you want to discuss. You've got the salary range from the report. You've got some wins that you've been tracking. So this is a game changer here with the AI or ChatGPT leveraging, helping you prepare. So one of the best things that you can do here is you can literally upload your personality report and your boss's personality report into ChatGPT and ask it to role play the conversation with you. So the prompt might look a little bit like this, like, pretend you're David, my boss. Here's a high D on the DISC scale, or if you've got his Myers-Briggs type or whatever else you can put in there. And then you can say, and then insert your type. I'm an SI. Let's role play a salary conversation. I want you to respond like them, realistically, with short answers and typical objections. Then switch your phone onto voice mode and you can practice responding until your tone sounds calm, until you're confident and you're not apologetic. You can also paste some draft responses and ask for some feedback on there. So AI, it can't do the meeting for you, but it can make you sound like someone who already deserves the raise. It can make you feel confident, build up that muscle memory of you discussing these important items, prepare you for objections. Think of it as a rehearsal partner that never rolls its eyes or interrupts you. It's actually a really helpful exercise. And in that download, make sure you grab that workbook at the end, because I've got a full suite of prompts in there that I use myself, and you can have a bit of a play around with that. But it is a lot of fun and one of the best ways that you can prep. Okay, now we're on to step 7, and this is where we get to reframe the outcome. So even if a raise doesn't happen straight away, you have still built career capital. Finance capital is great, but reputational and relational capital compound faster. Every time that you have this kind of conversation, you're reinforcing how you want to be seen: strategic, confident, commercially aware. That reputation, it opens doors that money alone can't. You're not just supporting the business, you are the infrastructure that keeps it running. So when you advocate for yourself, you're not taking, you are leading. You are showing courage, clarity, and self-awareness. And those are the exact same qualities that make you indispensable to your exec and to your organization. So here's your next move. What you need to do is document your wins from the last 6 months, research your market range, draft your business case using the framework that I've provided here, and book in that conversation. Remember, confidence, it isn't a personality trait. It's actually the byproduct of preparation. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to start. Confidence comes after. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Really love spending some time with you. If we're not already connected, make sure you come find me on LinkedIn. I share some weekly insights from my own journey from executive assistant to career coach, plus some practical tips for EAs looking to grow in their own role or potentially even to build a side business exactly like I did. And if you ever need a laugh between all the chaos, you can read my weekly Just for Fun column. It's called The Wesley Chronicles. It's part career, part motherhood, and entirely too caffeinated. It's a lot of fun to read for this Saturday morning coffee. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Remember, you are the ROI. So go and get what you've earned.